shows that we just witnessed. So I want to come up today to address a relevant topic. So let me begin with asking a question. What do you think are the elements that make up a Vietnamese? Think about it for a second. Don't worry, because I have a question for myself too. My question is, who am I as a Vietnamese? I grew up inheriting the nationality of Vietnam, but also in this massive swirl of events, of socio-economic problems that the societies has heavily criticized upon. Problems such as burgeoning corruptions, such as low productivities that leads to economic stagnations, problems such as alarming food insecurities, or the fact that many students feel like academic knowledge are impractical in some ways, which leads to the unemployment rate in college students these days. And a problem about a disorganized, uncivilized image of Vietnamese with poor social etiquette, poor public awareness, and unproductive mindsets. Such problems that now a handful of Vietnamese citizens nowadays dread their life here in Vietnam, and some even head out for a career or life abroad. There has been a staggering 2.5 million Vietnamese moving out of the country within the recent 30 years, according to numbers from International Organization of Migrations. But I'm sure you are more well aware of this upcoming fact, that 13 out of 14 champions from our well-known Road to Peak Olympics has chosen to settle a life and a career abroad, as well as many of our students who choose to go overseas. Well, apart from objective reasons, people also choose to leave Vietnam because of its aforementioned drawbacks. Because being Vietnamese is having poor social etiquette. Being Vietnamese is learning ineffectively. Being Vietnamese is having many restrictions, having inadequate jobs opportunity and public rights. Being Vietnamese now is so shameful that this trend, these pessimistic mindsets are existing in us. That's why this trend of running away from our identity is really happening, which is quite unfortunate, and I will tell you why. Why should we stick to our identities as a Vietnamese? Earlier in the session, I asked you, what do you think are the elements that make up a Vietnamese? Well, I think these elements lies within the three pillars of our people. Firstly, our culture. Firstly, our history. Secondly, our culture. And thirdly, our community. These are the three pillars that induct great values within us, as well as significant impressions to others in our nationality. So firstly, I would like to give a history lesson to you guys. We are a country that is devastated by wars. We have a history full of wars. For over 2,000 years, almost as long as the construction of a nation itself, that we, the Vietnamese, had been in wars. We were invaded and colonized multiple times from ancient China, from Mongolia, colonial French, and the US. Such long-lasting war periods leave us with a long-lasting scar from the torments of starvations, from poverty, from sorrow of losing our home, our sons and daughters, but most importantly, losing our identity and nationality as a Vietnamese into the hand of the intruders. However, these unfortunate events also leave us with an unresting call to stand up and to fight back for our country, our people, our belief. That it became such a custom and such a saying is that we must revolt, we must stand up and fight for our sovereignty. Countless revolutions has been ignited and the people's heart were all raged with patriotism, with will. Our ancestors had suffered from war, but yes, we fought them very hard and we have won. So that we know that the Vietnamese people are unsubmissive and independent. We don't take defeat as losing our rightful sovereignty as an answer. So the first characteristic of a Vietnamese that I want you to remember is that we are independent and we are unsubmissive. About my second aspect of this topic is our culture, which greatly shape our mindsets and perspective in life. It's our strong sense toward family and toward our community. It is very obvious that the Vietnamese endures a family-oriented ways of living. It exists in our everyday life, in how we eat the food on shared dishes, how we enjoy the little talks within our family members at our dinner table, how we frequently organize family gatherings to get together, and how we rush back home, rush back to our hometown whenever there's any vacations. Because I think that I and you believe that family is our priority. It is where we are loved and secure the most. It is also where we learn to live by good intentions from great morals taught by our beloved parents and grandparents. In addition, we are not just fond of our family members, we are also attached to the small communities that surround us. Your communities of teachers, of friends at school, of colleagues, of co-workers, of neighbors, of relatives are very important to a Vietnamese person. Because we are all surrounded by these communities, that we are all protected and raised by this environment, that we learn to treat each other with genuine gratitude, with genuine care. So being family-oriented and affectionate towards the communities, I can say, is the second characteristic of Vietnamese, which leads to an amazing unity of Vietnam people. Now, not only are we fond of our families, our small communities, but we are also easy to bond with each other in the outside world whenever there is a same topic of discussions. This exists in our daily life that we can see very clearly, but we can see it even more clearer in the recent celebration of the Vietnam under-23 football team. I remember that day. It was historic. As many as 1,000 of Vietnamese went down to the road. We cheer and we chant and we celebrate like we know each other so well. I joined the crowd too. And when I'm within the crowd, I feel like there's no barriers within ourselves. There's nothing that differs us. There's not such thing as different backgrounds. We are one at that moment. And I hope that many of you here did the same thing too, is to join the crowd and enjoy the celebrations. But having this same national pride for the national team, that we will again feel the awe-inspiring unity of the Vietnamese people. So thirdly, Vietnam's is unity. Now I want to talk about the final aspect of the people of Vietnam, which is their nature. The first nature is that the Vietnamese are very hardworking. We know that we work very hard every day. For a very still developing and a poor country with middle income GDP in the world, there are still many, many workers out there doing low to medium paid jobs, such as agricultural workers, such as manual laborers, such as street vendors and maids. However, no one ceases to complain about working hard. We work hard and we withhold a hope is that we're going to create a better life. Not for us, it's for our children, for our new generations. From farmers to fishers, from vendors on the street, to people working in more intellectual professions, is that we never stop to work hard, and we never stop to hope in a way to find a way to succeed in life. The second nature of a Vietnamese person is that the generosity and the kindness. Now, when I ask most foreigners' impressions about Vietnamese, is that even though they are small in size, but they are very big in heart. They are always happy. They are always kind to help. Never hesitate. Now you see the image of locals guiding tourists through the norms, to the life, trying to get them to adapt to the ways of living in Vietnam within their journey of exploring the country. A bright smile on their face is a profound impression in the mindset of the foreigners. But you know that this kindness is not just for the foreigners, but you also know that it is pure at our heart when you see a Vietnamese person lending a helping hand to another Vietnamese person. There are charity events that basically provide basic commodities such as food, clothes, and facilities for the unfortunate. There are operations to provide meals for the low-paid workers, for the children study in minorities groups, occasions, free facilities like water, like electricities. And we do this because we have a kind heart. Vietnamese really do have a kind heart, and we really care about our communities outside. To be humble, to be studious, to be respectful, I believe that the Vietnamese people is very admirable in some way. So yes, Vietnam is quite a problematic country. We are overpopulated. We have many problems of a developing countries. But it is also very true that Vietnam is very beautiful. In our sceneries, in our traditions, but most importantly, in our people. You and I, we are here at the heart of Hanoi. We are at the heart of Vietnam too. We are considered to be some of the luckiest people, luckiest Vietnamese living in these nations. And that's why I believe that you and I, we need to both understand clearly what is it to be Vietnam. The Vietnamese people, we are hardened through wars that we are now unsubmissive. We are affectionate towards the communities, to our family. And thirdly, we embrace a set of valuable morals from generation to generations. So today I wear my traditional outfit of Áo Dài because I really want to celebrate my identities as a Vietnamese. That I know whenever I go in the future, I will always adhere to these remarkable values ingrained in my nationality. Thank you, everyone.